So to be a learner class, to be the lead, you have to do terrible things. But it's actually hard to do terrible things. All right, so let me give you an example. Let's just say, I'm gonna give you 10 million US dollars. But what you need to do is this. Take a gun and late at night, go kill a random stranger. You think, wow, that's a really good deal. If I kill a random stranger late at night, no one's gonna know I did it, and I walk away with $10 million. And you think that I can do it, but guess what? When I actually make you go do it, you actually can't do it. Because there are lots of restrictions on your behavior, okay? So think of suicide. If I gave you $100 million and promised you a path to heaven, would you kill yourself? Probably not, okay? So suicide, killing yourself, in many ways, it's no different from killing someone else. We can't do it, okay? But there are actually hacks around this. We figured out ways to make you go kill someone in a way that doesn't make you feel that guilty about it, okay? So to understand why, I will introduce you 2 social science experiments that they conducted in America at the end of the 20th century, okay? The first is something called the Milgram experiment. And this was done at Yale by a psychologist named Stanley Milgram. And the experiment was very simple. What he would do is he would set up an actor, okay, this is an actor, okay, or what we call Confederate. And the person would be hooked up to an electric chair, right? And there'll be a buzzer, which increases the voltage in that electric chair, okay? And there's like a max and there's a min. And Stanley Milgram would be here in his lab coat, and he would invite a participant, okay, who's essentially a student, to come and be an assistant, okay? And the assistant's job was to press the button. And Stanley Milgram wanted to know, first of all, would this volunteer, this assistant, agree to shock another human being, even though he's seen the human being in pain? And second of all, Stanley Milgram wanted to see how much pain the volunteer was willing to inflict. And it turned out that with the idea of authority, okay, people are much more willing to let go of their inhibitions. Because what you're doing is you are removing responsibility from yourself to someone else. I didn't do it, I was ordered to do it. And surprisingly, people are willing to inflict a lot of pain on other people because they are able to remove responsibility for their individual actions, okay? Okay, does that make sense? So the point of secret society is for people to come together and avoid taking responsibility for their actions. How? By praying to another god, right? By saying, we didn't do this, we didn't go start this war, we didn't destroy the economy, it was Satan that told us to do it. We had a meeting with Satan, we did the rituals, we summoned Satan, and Satan says, for the good of the world, you must be evil. You must go and start this war so that we can create paradise on earth. It wasn't us. It was not us. It was Satan who did this. Okay? That's the point of a secret society. To force yourself to believe that you have no agency in this world. And you are controlled by Satan. Okay? Or another god, Saturn. Okay? So it's very common for these secret societies to believe in a god called Saturn. Who is Saturn? Saturn, the Greek is Cronus. And Cronus is a god of time. Cronus is a god of time and order and structure. And Cronus would do things that were unconscionable, that were inhumane in order to maintain control of the world, including in his own children. Because then his children could not rebel against him, okay? So they pray to Saturn to look for that divine energy in order to maintain order and control in the world for the good of others, okay? Not for the good of me, but for the good of others. Does that make sense? Okay, that's the first idea I need you to understand about these secret societies. They always pray to a higher God. They believe in interdimensional lizard people, or they believe in Satan, or they believe in Saturn. Who cares, okay? But they don't feel as though they're in control. They feel as though they're possessed by demons or by extraterrestrials, okay? And why? In order to do what they must to maintain their power and their wealth. Okay, that's number one. Number two is this. Another experiment that you guys might have heard of, something called the Solomon-Asch experiment. Okay? And here, the experiment is 10 people in a room. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, okay? And all sit together. And they're just asked to tell me if this is a straight line or a circle. Okay? It's that simple. Then what happens is a volunteer is asked to come into the room, okay? And this volunteer goes last. And everyone around the room goes and tells the answer, okay? And from 1 to 10, okay, and these are all Confederates, okay? These are all part of the conspiracy. From 1 to 10, they all say this is a circle. And so by the time you get to the volunteer, who's number 11, he's like, what should I say? And often, a lot of times is, he'll say, it's a circle, because he's trying to conform to the group. But not only that, afterwards, when he's told that, oh, there's actually a line, he's actually convinced he saw a circle. Okay? That's the power of group conformity. Okay? So 2 ideas, authority and conformity is what underlies the power of secret societies. And as such, you are now, because you are part of the society, you now have the power to take a gun, go kill someone late at night, and collect your $10 million. Okay? Does that make sense, guys? All right. And again, every society does this, because often when you're part of the landlord class, the elite, the transnational capitalists, you have to do things against your own wiring, okay? Your own psychology. And that's why secret societies exist. All right. Now, sometimes secret societies are forced to do really bad things because they're often in competition with each other. And in this competition, it's always a question of like, who's more evil, okay? So what they figured out is this. They figured out how to structure this secret societies, okay? This hierarchy. Okay? So these are the people at the top, the landlords. And these are basically the initiates, okay? The people who want to join. But they are ignorant about the true purpose of the secret society. So the question then is, how do you maintain this hierarchy? And what they figure out is something really, really simple, all right? It's really simple human psychology. Throughout human history, what was very common was for groups of young men, okay, they've been discarded by their families because the families don't have enough to eat, so they get together and they form like wolf packs. They go around, and what they really want is a wife. Okay, that's what they really want. More than food, they want a wife. So what they're forced to do is go as a group, as a gang, go to a village and kidnap a woman and kill the family, okay? And this is a very common thing in human history. And let's try to figure out the psychology of what's going on. Okay, so you have like 5 guys. This is just a thought experiment, okay? 5 guys, young guys. And they're gonna go to a village where there's a family, okay? A husband, a wife, and 2 kids. What they're gonna do, of course, is they're obviously gonna kill the husband, and they're also gonna kill the 2 children, okay? And they're gonna kidnap the wife. Now let me ask you this question. Let's understand the psychology of this woman when her entire life is destroyed, okay? Does she A, want vengeance? B, become depressed, fall in love with one of the guys? A, B, or C, guys? A, B, or C? Yeah. What is that? A. Okay. You guys would think she would want vengeance for what has happened, but that's not what happens. Okay. It's more likely that she becomes depressed or she falls in love. It's often at times that she falls in love. We call this a Stockholm syndrome. All right. It's a very basic human psychology that is consistent throughout human history, throughout all societies. When a woman sees her entire life collapse like that, she has no longer any stability. Her reality is destroyed. And therefore, she clings to anyone who is willing to support her, even though that person is the same person who destroyed her life in the first place. It's really weird psychology, but it's very, very true. That's also why arranged marriages work, okay? Throughout human society, older man is often paired with a younger wife. She might be like 14 or 13, but you know, after a few years, they do fall in love with each other because the woman is completely dependent on the man. Okay, and also that physical intimacy. All right, so it sounds really depressing, but this is a very basic principle of human psychology. Because at this point in history, when her reality has collapsed, her soul has left her, okay? And now she's basically a slave. And what a slave does is someone who clings to life. All right, does that make sense? Okay. Now, what happens to these 5 guys, okay? A, do they feel guilty for what they do? B, do they fight over the woman? Or C, are they brothers forever? The obvious answer is C, right? They're brothers forever, okay? So even though they commit this terrible, terrible act, right? It's made them more unified, okay? And this is a structure of secret societies. The structure of secret societies is for the people that are taught to commit these rituals of torture in order to turn the initiates into slaves. And those who are most willing to participate in these rituals, those who are most willing to become slaves, become the middle people, okay? The people that are most trusted, because now they're slaves. And that's how secret societies work. And that's why there are so many different degrees to secret societies. And that's why at the very top, no one knows what they're really doing. What they're really doing is praying to Satan, okay? Because Satan is giving them strength, or Saturn, who knows, okay, or whatever. Saturn or Satan is giving them strength in order to torture these initiates, so these initiates become their slaves for life. And then these initiates are given limitless wealth and power because they are now completely loyal, dependent on the master. All right? All right. All right. This sounds confusing, but let's use another example. All right. So Spartans. Sparta. So Sparta, remember, Sparta is a war society, a militaristic society that is intent on maintaining control over its slaves, okay, the helots. And the helots outnumber the Spartans 10 to 1. So these Spartans need to be really cohesive as a society. They need to fight and die for each other. So their education system is like this. At 5 or 6, the Spartan child is taken away from the parents, okay? And this obviously creates fear and anxiety. All right? Also, what happens is the child is in school beaten up by the older kids. And this creates trauma. All right? Another word we use for this is intergenerational trauma, because the Spartans do this to every child, intergenerational trauma. All right, so the kid at this point is unsafe, insecure. His mind is really screwed up. And then when he's most vulnerable, maybe when he's 11 or 12, what happens now is he's paired with an older man who's like 29 or 30. Okay, an older man. And this older man, they become lovers. Basically what happens is the man first, of course, commits, sexual abuse. But again, because the child is traumatized, because the child has no bearings, no reality, doesn't believe anyone in this world loves him, even though the man is being abusive to him, he falls in love with the man. And as a result, the boy will do anything that the man orders to him to do, okay? So what happens is this man becomes his general, and he becomes a soldier or an officer. And that's why the Spartans are so fearless. Okay, because the soldiers are completely loyal to the generals because they were once lovers. The soldier feels as though this general, who I must obey, he saved my life when I most needed it, when my parents abandoned me, when I was being beat up every day, when I felt complete insecurity, when I was traumatized. He came and he gave me a home, and therefore I must die for him. Okay? And guys, look, listen, this sounds weird, but if you go to the inner city gangs in America or anywhere in the world, okay, these drug cartels in Mexico, they use the same principles as the Spartans. Okay, these young boys, 13, 14, they have no father. So put in a gang, they're abused, and then the gang leader treats them well. They might have some, sex, and then these boys are completely loyal to their gang leaders. Same thing if you go to these child armies in Africa. Okay, very basic principle that every human understands. If you abuse a child and then be nice to that child is obedient to you forever. This is how secret societies behave. Okay, one last example. Okay, so in history, there was a very famous secret society called the Assassins. You may have played the video game Assassin's Creed, okay? Why are they called assassins? Because of the word hashes. Hashes is a drug like marijuana, right? It's a hallucinogen. Okay? So the way these societies would work is, if you're a new member, I would make you have hashes, okay? Hashes. And your mind would become blurry. You feel as though you're in a dream. And then what would happen is I put you in a room, and you're basically like drunk, okay? And then these young men would come and pleasure you. And then you would wake up in your home, and you would think this was a dream, okay? And your master would tell you, this is what paradise is like, all right? This is what heaven is like. If you do what I tell you, I guarantee you will go to heaven where 10,000 virgins will pleasure you for all of eternity, okay? And this turns these assassins into the most dedicated killers. Again, I keep on saying this, it's really hard to convince someone to go kill another person. But these assassins are willing to do whatever it takes in order to enter paradise, okay? So, guys, this combination, sex plus trauma plus hallucinogens or hallucinogens, psychedelics, okay? These three things, psychedelics, drugs, sex plus trauma, they create the perfect slaves, okay? Slaves. Because now what you can do is you can take these slaves and then have them infiltrate other secret societies. They become the perfect spies because they are forever loyal to you, okay? They're completely emotionally dependent on you, and they will do what it takes in order to please you. But you have to like train them from an early age. Okay, and this is how these secret societies, they fight each other. They recruit an army of young kids. They traumatize, brutalize these kids to train them to be spies, to be killers, and then they will unleash these kids on other secret societies and their enemies as well, like the assassins did. Okay, does that make sense?